Hello and welcome to Wisdom Wednesdays. Today we are looking at Proverbs chapter 8 verses 6 through 8. And in these verses, this is wisdom speaking personified as a woman, a female character. The chapter heading says wisdom calls for a hearing. And we hear wisdom speaking in the first person voice. I'm starting today in verse 6, and here's what it says. Listen to me, for I have important things to tell you. Everything I say is right, for I speak the truth and detest every kind of deception. My advice is wholesome. There is nothing devious or crooked in it. So what I like about these verses is the straightforward simplicity, that wisdom speaks the truth. Wisdom detests every kind of deception, that there is nothing devious and nothing crooked about wisdom. In other words, wisdom never lies. The clarity of that could be extremely helpful when you're in a difficult situation, when you've made a mistake. Sometimes it can seem like the wisest thing to do is to cover up the truth. Definitely when we've made a mistake, we often hear a voice that tells us that the best plan is to make sure that no one knows about it, even if we have to lie. Our own self-protective instincts can drive us exactly in the opposite direction of wisdom. And while it can feel like lying or covering up is the safer thing to do, reality demonstrates over and over that honesty and truthfulness are the best policy. A relationship is much more likely to be damaged or destroyed even by a lie than it is by a hard truth. Someone caught in a crime is likely to get mercy if they tell the truth, but if they're caught lying, they're more likely that the judge will throw the book at them in the end. And on top of that, when we speak the truth, we never have to remember what we said. We don't have to remember who we said it to. There aren't any mental gymnastics to keep it straight. People recognize honesty and they trust it. And people also sooner or later recognize lies and they respond accordingly as well. For our purpose here, we're just going to memorize verses 7 and 8. And I have to modify it a little bit for clarity because of where it is in the speech. So here's how we're going to do it. It will say, wisdom speaks the truth and detests every kind of deception. Wisdom's advice is wholesome. There is nothing devious or crooked about it. See what I did there? Okay, so let's read it through 3 times to start getting it into our heads. Ready? Wisdom speaks the truth and detests every kind of deception. Wisdom's advice is wholesome. There is nothing devious or crooked in it. And again, wisdom speaks the truth and detests every kind of deception. Wisdom's advice is wholesome. There is nothing devious or crooked in it. And one more time. Wisdom speaks the truth and detests every kind of deception. Wisdom's advice is wholesome. There is nothing devious or crooked in it. That's all for this week's episode of Wisdom Wednesdays. Embrace wisdom this week by embracing truthfulness. See you next week.